Well, good afternoon. You know, the acoustics are so fabulous in this hall that I feel like I don't even need a microphone, but I'll stand where I'm supposed to and begin by introducing myself for those of you who have just arrived to today's festivities, celebration, and then the beginning of our academic conference. I'm Chris Eisgruber. I'm the president of the university and am delighted to welcome you all here today for this conference and for this christening of Maeder Hall. I'm delighted in particular to welcome you to Maeder Hall. Like the rest of this complex, and unlike most auditoria that I have seen, it emphasizes light, space, and natural materials. I think the result is spectacular, and I hope you agree. We will hear more about this, about the role this place will play in the center from the founding director of the Andlinger Center, Emily Carter. She is the guiding force behind the center's scientists, engineers, and scholars, and her dedication to safeguarding our planet is an inspiration to students and faculty alike. And as I mentioned to at least some of you earlier today, this morning, I am delighted that as of July 1st, she will become the Dean of our School of Engineering and Applied Science. Please welcome Professor Emily Carter.
Well, some of you were here this morning when we had the opportunity to thank the extraordinary generosity of Gerhard Andlinger, who is here in the front row. And we would not be here today. This building would not be here today. Many of the activities going on in the Andlinger Center would not be happening if it wasn't for the vision and extraordinary generosity of Gary Andlinger. And so I do want to take a moment to again thank Gary for your vision that led to the establishment of the Andlinger Center. And I realize I do have a mixed audience because some of the people were here to hear my remarks for the ribbon cutting for the center earlier. So I'm cognizant of not trying to repeat anything, but I do want to say just a couple words about the philosophy of the center that is really manifest in this beautiful building, this beautiful hall. We already heard from President Eisgruber about the fact that we have natural light coming in. How many lecture halls have we been in that actually have these incredible skylights that can let in natural light? In fact, we really don't need the other lights on right now. We could exist many times having events in this building without having to use electricity for the lighting, at least. And in addition, as President Eisgruber mentioned, the use of materials, the fact that there is just tremendous acoustics, it's just an inspiring space, right? And that's true about the whole building. And I want to take a moment to congratulate and say bravo to Todd Williams and Billy Sien for the amazing building that you have designed. And it's been my incredible pleasure to be your partner, and I think Todd would use other words potentially to describe the relationship, but what we are all able to enjoy is a space now that provides the physical plant permanence of the kinds of catalysis of intellectual interactions that are manifest in Maeder Hall now as a result of the extraordinary generosity of Paul Maeder, class of 75. Sorry, I just almost made you older. And I would say that when this was being designed and there were talks about who we hoped would be the benefactor, I couldn't imagine anyone more appropriate than Paul Maeder. I just am so happy that your name is the one that glosses the outside of this building, and forevermore it will be known as Maeder Hall, because Paul is a champion for engineering. He's a champion for energy and the environment. He's been just this incredible positive force for both what has gone on in his alma mater department, Mechanical and Aerospace Engineering, which is my home department, so we share that in common as well. As a member of that advisory council, then I talked him into being on the advisory council for the Andlinger Center from the very beginning, and he's always come with these amazingly good ideas, always pushing, always a cheerleader for what we're trying to do here. Incredibly supportive. There's no one more supportive than you. And having you as a secret weapon, in my back pocket is really fantastic, Paul. And so, I have to say, in addition to all the great ideas that you brought forth, your generosity, both for Maeder Hall that we're in now, the beautiful conference rooms above here that we will be using and have used for meetings and for conferences already and for seminars. The fact is that Paul, even very early on in my tenure as director, he talked to me and said, what's really important to you? And he listened, and as a result, we now have a wonderful fellowship that we give to graduate students because of your generosity, and there are many grateful graduate students from past and present and way into the future who will be tremendously grateful, and you will be catalyzing research that will help us preserve the planet for future generations, both through that fellowship and also through the fact that we have this incredible space because of your generosity. So I've spoken long enough. I think what we need to do is hear from the man himself. Paul, thank you so much, and I just thank you from the bottom of my heart.
Thank you so much, Emily. So all day long, people have been thanking Gary and me. Gary, way more deserving than me. And I'd just like to say we didn't do much. We gave money, which is really pretty boring stuff. It's not even a vector. It's a scalar. And as I learned from Rob Sokol a long time, it's a scalar, and they turned it into this, which is magnificent. And this kind of thing only happens, any good architect will tell you, with a great client. And so in history, there is an endless battle about whether history is shaped by great forces or by individuals. It's a lot like the nurture versus nature debate. Spoiler alert for those of you who haven't had kids, it's actually all nature. And so this debate talks about great forces like, in application to the Andlinger Center, climate change, human demographic, inevitable demographic growth, increasing affluence in the United States that makes this kind of place possible, and a great, great institution that we all love that has the vision to put something like this together. On the individual side, this wouldn't have happened without great individuals. Gary and Jeannie Andlinger, of course, Shirley Tillman, Chris Eisgruber, and many, many others who played such a key and central role in making this place happen. But the answer, like nurture versus nature, is both great forces and individuals are critical. And in the case of this place, we have someone who embodies both those things, Emily Carter, who is both a wonderful individual and a great force, and a force for good. So you... Once and for all, you settle that debate. So, note to the history department. So there's a wonderful parable about this whole climate change problem that illustrates the essence of what we're facing as a species. And I don't think the problem is evil people. I don't really believe there are a lot of people who are truly ill-intentioned. And the parable is the exemplar of the test tube. So imagine you have a test tube, and you know that when the test tube, you have some bacteria in it, and when the bacterium multiplies enough and grows and fills the test tube, they all die, because they all just make a mess of things in there. And what you do is you start at the beginning of an hour, and you put the right number of bacterium in there so that you know minute by minute at the end of the hour, the tube is full and they're all dead. So for the geeks in the room, obviously it's 1/2 to the 60th, that number of bacterium that you put in there at the beginning of the hour. So you're watching the clock, you're looking in, you see nothing, nothing happens, and you're going, gosh, they must have died. At minute 50, the test tube is 0.1% full. At minute 50, you've waited 5/6 of an hour, and you say, this is not going to be a problem. This is not going to die. At minute 56, finally the test tube is 1/16 full of bacteria. You look in, you see something, you say, it's 4 minutes till the end of the hour. We're golden. Minute 57, it's 1/8 full. Minute 58, it's 1/4 full. Minute 59, it's half full. And at minute 60, you're dead. And that is, of course, exponential growth. And the problem with this is that that's how nature works. That's why Euler was so important. Nature works with exponential growth. And all our experience is linear. We walk twice as long, we get twice as far. We dig a hole twice as long, and we get twice as deep. We study twice as long, and we get maybe root 2 as smart. The problem is our whole personal experience is linear. And so I want to talk a little bit about the Andlinger Center and its mission. And its mission is undoubtedly to do science and engineering. But it's here at Princeton. It's at a liberal arts university. And its most important mission is to cross this chasm between the exponential truth and the linear experience that people have. And it is that gap that causes this huge gap in understanding between the people who do climate science and the people who create policy, and the people, and ultimately the voters who really create policy. And if we don't bridge that gap, we're going off a cliff, as we all know in this room. And I think the most important thing Andlinger can do is bring people from across campus in here and get them to understand this difference. Because unless we figure this out, we're obviously all toast. So on a happier note, thank you very, very much. I'll let Chris get on. And it's really a pleasure to be here. It's a beautiful place. Thank you so much, Emily. Okay, you got it. That was great.
Paul, that was terrific, and I think after hearing those remarks, everyone will understand why Emily Carter said what she did, that we are so delighted that it's your name that is gracing this hall. We couldn't imagine a more appropriate sponsor for the kinds of activities and conferences that will take place here. Your commitment to clean energy and a sustainable world is inspiring. And as we have seen over the course of this day, the art on the walls of this center is itself a tribute to the impact of science and discovery on humankind. So we would like you to have, as a reminder of the important work that you are supporting and of your own impact on Princeton and the world, this sketch, which will now magically appear on stage. This sketch reproduced from one of Charles Darwin's notebooks, which is entitled Tree of Life. It comes with deep appreciation for everything that you have done and continue to do for Princeton and the planet. And now, if I could invite Dean Poore, Dean Designate Carter, and Gwyl York, Paul's wife, to join us all here on stage. We will officially cut the ribbon and dedicate Maeder Hall within Princeton's Andlinger Center for Energy and the Environment. The photographer is in charge. There we go. All right. Ribbon cutting. Okay.
You ready? I'm going to count to 3. 1, 2, 3.
There we go. Thank you. Okay. All right. Please join me in one more round of applause for Paul Maeder and this extraordinary gift. I want to thank Paul.
Photographer's rule. One more shot. You all are very patient.
Act like you like it. And 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. One more time. 1, 2.
Okay. With the permission of the photographers, we will now turn Maeder Hall over to the experts from academia, industry, and government who are taking part in a symposium exploring sustainable solutions for the world's energy needs. Thank you all for being a part of this important day in Princeton's history. Thank you.